Characters are like sauce.
Ciao, I'm Pasquale. Welcome to my kitchen.
They're a combination of different ingredients mixed together to make something that tastes amazing. The ingredients that you use, and when you add them to the mix, will affect how the sauce tastes to the audience. I can't tell you which ingredients to use or when to add them, but I can give you some cooking tips. First, you need to be very deliberate about where you find these ingredients. Like I said in the previous video, these characteristics should come from how a character responds to an obstacle that's in the way of their want. The ingredients or characteristics should serve to ground that reaction and have it make sense. The audience should never think, would that character actually do that? The decisions your character makes will be believable because you crafted them to match their want and obstacle. But there isn't a strict set of characteristics to match a reaction. Emotion is subjective and that's a huge gray area. There's more than one way to make a sauce. You'll have to trust your gut and the people who give you feedback. A good way to start though is take a single characteristic and let it branch out from there. For example, let's say I have a protagonist named Andy. Andy wants to protect nature. The thing standing in his way is a lumber company that has just purchased public lands and intends to turn the trees into lumber. Andy initially responds by secretly sabotaging their machinery to slow their destruction. So with that response, I could say maybe he was a park ranger at the public land. That would give him a concrete reason to sabotage the lumber company. Now I can take that detail and let it lead me to others. I can do this by asking questions. Why did Andy become a park ranger? Maybe he used to go on hikes through the woods with his mom, but she passed away when he was a teenager. Now nature is his last connection to his mom, so he became a park ranger to preserve her memory. Now let's find another branch. What else about him would lead him to sabotage the equipment? A great strategy here is to think of other paths he could have taken and find traits that exclude those paths. Maybe someone socially and politically minded would have tried to start some kind of movement to stop the company. Not Andy though. Andy is antisocial. He likes to keep to himself. That's one of the reasons he became a park ranger. He prefers the company of nature over people. Finding traits that exclude other paths serves both the plot and character. You're developing the character more, but also rationalizing their decisions to the audience. Keep following these branches. You don't have to keep everything you come up with, but developing these possibilities will give you plenty of options as you decide what works for the story. Somewhere in this process, I will identify my character's flaw. Perhaps Andy needs to overcome his antisocial tendencies to protect the land that he loves. Finding this need will be an important step in characterizing your protagonist. It's important to remember that as you follow these branches, the characteristics you end up choosing should influence the story. It's very easy to get lost in the small stuff when it comes to character development. What is their favorite brand of cereal? Are they left-handed? Did they go to college? But these are details that don't necessarily serve the fundamentals of your story. They are bland spices that may get lost in the sauce. You don't really need to include them. Speaking of getting lost in the sauce, some ingredients require specific timing to get the effect that you want. When you reveal characteristics to the audience will change how they come across. When should I reveal Andy's backstory about his mom? I could do it at the beginning so it's always there in the background like a ghost. I could sprinkle it in over the course of the story so that it develops. Or I could just plop it in at the end to make a splash of zest. Considering the timing of revealing characteristics can change your character's entire flavor. So how do you make characters that stick out? How do you make unique flavors? It's easy to make a sauce that tastes like something you find in the grocery store, but it takes skill and creativity to make something that's fresh and delicious. The key here is to use interesting ingredients. Boring characteristics make for boring characters. If I use the same traits that I've seen before in the same combination, then I'm not making something delicious. I'm making ragu. This means you should avoid cliches and the obvious. These are boring. You want to add spice to your characters. When cooking, sometimes ingredients that don't seem to go together on the surface make something delicious, like sea salt and chocolate, or anchovy paste and red pasta sauce. Finding interesting combinations of characteristics that work together will make unique and tasty characters. Going back to my example, I can't think of any sneaky park rangers. I think that is a rather unique character from a mainstream perspective. Unique doesn't necessarily mean good though, but unique is often better than bland. I'm not a park ranger though. I don't really know what their work is like, but my main character is one. What do I do? Research. Writing about things you are unfamiliar with takes research. For the story I presented, I'll probably want to talk to a park ranger, find out what their life is like. How do they feel about nature? What brought them to where they are? What does a day in their life look like? Likewise, I don't know a ton about the logging industry either, so I'll have to learn about it. What kind of machinery do they use? What does the logging process look like? How long does it take to cut down a forest? You might have to read a book to write a book. If you write about something you know nothing about, it will show, especially to those who know about that subject. After you've written your first draft, you should give it to somebody else to taste test it, to make sure that you've used all the ingredients correctly. Need salt.
Yes, chef.
If you're writing a story about an introvert, then have an introvert read your piece to make sure that you capture the essence of what it's like. That way when you label your sauce introvert, it won't taste wrong to those who've tasted it before. This process isn't limited to your main character though. You can create an entire host of characters for your audience to feast on. The characters are the sauce, the plot is the pasta, the world building is the plate, and the silverware are the words that your audience eats with. Soon you'll have an entire feast to share. Thanks for watching.
It's the best recipe I ever know in my life. It's to eat what we have and what we like, my dear friends, and share it with our family, our friends. That's good recipe, and I hope you like too.
This is the second part in a series on creating characters. Next week we'll be discussing characterization through showing rather than telling. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Also follow us on social media and join our discussions on Discord. Links to all of that down below. This video is brought to you by Campfire Pro. This powerful writing tool can help you plan your stories and get started writing. Its character creation tools include character sheets and a character arc tool where you can actually track how your character changes throughout the story. Discover your character's details and make a tasty sauce with Campfire Pro. Writing.